What is going on, Cyber Fam? Today we got a light one, just a quick one for Friday. I'm just going to talk about Alex Karp's new interview. He just wanted to pass on some season's greetings. But inside that season's greetings, of course, this is a company, right? So there's lots of little nuggets that he passed on. So I just want to touch on some of those topics. So this is all the stuff that he said on the interview. Now, before we get started, as always, thank you to all my subscribers. We're like really growing really fast right now, and I couldn't have done it without you guys. So I appreciate you voting the subscribe button. And if you feel it, if you're new here, I try to give a technical light on everything. It's basically kind of been my thing. So if you like that stuff, feel free to like and subscribe. If not, then it's cool, man. Just stay here for the content and, let me know what you think after in the comment section below if you want. Anyway, let's get into it. So basically, he was just passing on some season's greetings. There's been a long year. He addresses that it's kind of been a tough one for most people, especially with COVID and things like that. Lockdowns finally starting to lift in the beginning of the year and things like that. So it's, I don't know. I mean, this kind of stuff, to be very honest with you, like I'm not the one to try to hype everything. I'm not going to say that everything Alex Karp or any CEO says is just like out of this world. So let's be grounded here. It's cool, but like it's kind of like played out most of the time. A lot of these corporate people bring out these season's greetings and it's like, okay, man. It's kind of like muted, right? But this one I thought actually had good value, just because like he wasn't just trying to like rub it in your face like, oh, season's greetings, Palantir, right? It was very sincere in my opinion. I'll link the video in the description below so you can check it out. But anyway, so there's a few things that I want to address here because they're pretty important, and it's really just to recap a lot of the things, but it's very important for if you're an investor in this company, right? A few things is that he did mention that Palantir helped in disseminating the vaccine, which is awesome because they do have that partnership with NHS in England, and this was also globally. So this was addressing their supply chain there. So that's very important, guys. If you had not know that, now you know. Okay, all right. And then the thing is, Alex Karp said that he wants Palantir to be an and, not an or company, and this is actually very common because a lot of times in the enterprise, when they're trying to solve a problem, it ends up being like, okay, this is the big problem, but we can only solve this amount. And then they do this thing where it's like, okay, how much of that problem is solved by our product? Oh, 60%? Okay, let's push the product. I'm just telling you how it is, right? Whenever we do software, it's very often not able to solve everything. And it's not for lack of trying. It's just that they get to a point where they're like, you know what, this is good enough. Let's just move forward with this, okay? Palantir, at least from what Alex Karp is saying, is trying to address the whole thing, not just like partially, right? So I think that's pretty cool. And they also said like they're for civil liberties and data protection, which, I mean, it's nice to hear, but let's see what they do and how they can protect that. I have a feeling this has something to do with the only the West mentality that they have, which is fine. I totally agree with that, but it's yet to be seen if they can do this kind of stuff, because that's too of a very sort of sensitive topic. On top of that, they said the enterprises are going to become more valuable and more efficient. Now, this point is hitting the nail on the head. I've always been saying throughout my entire career to anybody, like the problem with enterprise isn't the fact that the developers or like engineers or anything aren't good. The problem is people are just okay with mediocrity. So hopefully Palantir can address this, because like really, it's not hard to make good software. It just takes time. And really, if these guys can spearhead this, it'll inspire more folks to actually make fully complete holistic software rather than just something that can be pitched. You know what I mean? So like that's something that it hits strong with me. Anyway, so they were saying that a lot of folks started to now in this year 2021 realize that they started to actually need things like Foundry, or basically Foundry itself, to make their ML and AI more like valuable, like deliver more value. And this, I'm not sure, it might be a loaded statement, because I'm not sure what kind of I'm not sure if Foundry is like a training ground for ML AI. Like if you were to buy Foundry, are you training your ML AI there? We don't know, right? Most likely it's something there actually is existing ML AI things there, and they're using that to actually inform their own decision making. Plus Palantir has their own algos that help as well. I think that's what it is. It's almost like a symbiotic relationship there, okay? But we'll find out more next year, I see, with more demos and things like that come up. Okay, another thing is, he did mention, this is a very key point, I think. It's really understated, but he said the software purchase is basically a trinket that turns into a product, turns the company into a product. That's huge, man. It's really true. Like the software that you buy, because you got to remember, companies have a certain amount of cash on hand, right? So the things that they spend that cash on makes them what they are, right? So if you spend that money on like crappy products, then you're basically either wasting time or wasting money, or both. So it's very important, and it's very true. People have to realize that every dollar that they spend, like enterprise provisioners and procurement people, you guys have to realize every dollar you spend, actually makes the company better or worse depending on what you do. So it's very important, and enterprises get to a point where it's super competitive, so every dollar and every unit of time matters. Anyway, so the other thing is, he said enterprise is a software production entity and that you must master the development of integration of software. This guy hit it on the head, man. If you guys have been watching this channel long enough, I've been harping on integrations from day one. Integrations, the enterprise, think of it like this, guys. There's so many companies out there that make so many products and software, right? When you are a company, all you're doing is basically gathering software to provide some value to your client. But if your softwares don't talk to each other, even the ones you build in-house, you're dead in the water, right? Enterprise is nothing but integrations. That is the number one thing that any software company needs to basically focus on in terms of a high level thing. There's of course more things, but I'm saying in terms of a high level thing, there's lots of different softwares that are spinning inside of an organization, and they all need to talk to each other efficiently and have a good system, a source of truth, and all these other things within the system itself. Okay, and I truly believe that the companies that start to integrate these software, forget Foundry, forget all this stuff, just general integration, make sure that their software within their org talks to themselves better to provide value, those guys gonna come out on top. Really, they are. Anyway, so he did address that there's a few things that Palantir is doing that aren't really fully understood. Things like AI at the edge and AI with larger data sets and stuff. Again, kind of like a vague statement, but the thing is, the AI at the edge, by the way, if you haven't seen it, I made a video about it. I'll put it in the description somewhere here, or the cards. But it's not exactly AI, but it's something that's very new. I don't think I've seen it really. It's basically like a functional component, but it's not really AI driven. It's more so like something where the model, like the result based function, or the thing that's supposed to actually give you the results, is trained by all these models and all this stuff to be a very narrow thing. And it performs so fast because it's so narrow, right? So the decision making is really fast, and you can rest easy because it is reinforced. It was reinforced or trained by just like crazy epochs and like basically AI and ML stuff, right? But anyway, so I guess we'll see. I think the AI edge stuff is really what I'm looking for. Again, like I did a video on it, I'll post a link here, but that's the stuff I'm looking for. That's why I really invested in this company, right? How much of this machine learning AI stuff can they really tap into? We'll see that next year, I guess. Let's see what happens. But anyway, guys, that's it for me. I just wanted to touch on some important facts. I wanted to give you guys most of your Friday back. I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Spend time with your family. I love you all, and that's it for me. Thanks.